Love is hard enough with people we like. The real test of love, Christian love, however, is whether we can love people we do not like. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Saturday, November 29th, 2025. It is one of the most vexatious concepts in Christian faith, one that I've probably had more questions about in my career than any other. Today's passage comes from the Sermon on the Mount, found in the Gospel of Matthew. There's a section of 6 sayings in this sermon that use the formula, "You have heard that it was said, but I say to you." For example, "You have heard that it was said, you shall not murder, but I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment." And "You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery in his heart." And so on. You get the idea. Jesus takes a familiar commandment and intensifies it. The last of these sayings concerns the commandment to love your neighbor. It begins, "You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Like I say, this commandment has caused more consternation, more vexation among the faithful people I've known than maybe any other. How can we love people that we do not like? And if that weren't hard enough, how can we love people who are actively hostile toward us? Loving those whom we like and who like us is often hard enough, but even tax collectors and Gentiles can do that. That's what Jesus means when he asks the questions for today. "For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same?" So, one way to resolve this tension is to think of love as a sort of pious and self-aggrandizing pity on our enemies. How sad for them that they do not like me. They're really missing out. This way presupposes that we are always in the right and the other always in the wrong, and so our love takes the position that we hope and even pray that they may be changed, not so much ourselves. But this is not love. It is smarmy self-exaltation. You can plainly tell I don't think much of this attitude. It leaves us no better than the proverbial tax collectors and sinners. A second way to resolve the difficulty here, and many commentators have adopted this stance, is to recognize that this commandment, like the ones Jesus has spoken about murder, adultery, and the like, is that in our fallen state, we are simply incapable of doing what Jesus commands. And so these commands really drive us to appeal to the grace and mercy of God for forgiveness. This is actually not a bad way to go, but I think it can too easily let us off the hook and sort of misses the point. A third way to deal with this commandment is to live with the discomfort it causes us. The gospel isn't meant to relieve us of all discomfort. If it challenges us to be better than we usually are, great. And if it causes us to actually learn how to change our behavior and our inner heart, so much the better. And where we fail, refer to the previous idea. When we fail, as we almost certainly will, throw ourselves onto the mercy and grace of God, not as the cheap and easy way out, but as the way when all else fails. All of this presupposes we know what love actually is, and therefore how we can love an enemy. As I have said many times, though, love, real love, isn't a matter of emotion. It's not about sentimentality or about how we feel. Love is a commitment to the well-being of another person. This doesn't depend on liking the other, though that certainly doesn't hurt, but it is something that we can actually will and work for, even for our enemy. Now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.